Hello and welcome. Whether you own a home or manage a business property, there's a destructive force out there that you're almost certainly going to encounter. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on water damage and give you the playbook you need to protect your most valuable asset. All right, let's dive right in.
So let's just kick things off with a quick question. When you think about the biggest, baddest threat to your property, what pops into your head? For most of us, it's something dramatic, right? Something loud. But what if the real culprit is completely silent?
That's it. It's not fire, it's water. It's this silent invader that can cause way more widespread, long-term damage than almost anything else. It's sneaky, it's persistent, and a lot of the time, you don't even know it's there until it's way too late.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this threat, we're going to zoom in on a specific case study, Warren, Michigan. By looking at how local conditions there create a perfect storm for water damage, we can uncover threats that might be lurking right where you live too.
So what's so fascinating here is how all these different local factors kind of gang up on homeowners. In Warren, for example, they have this dense clay soil that just doesn't drain well. This creates this incredible pressure, hydrostatic pressure that literally pushes water against basement walls. On top of that, you've got an old sewer system from the 50s and 60s that's just, well, it's getting old and it's prone to breaking down. Then throw in those brutal freeze-thaw cycles that can burst pipes, and even the humidity from Lake St. Clair, which basically acts like a steroid for mold growth. It's a constant battle on multiple fronts.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly sums up the single most important rule when it comes to water damage: speed is everything. The line between a small, manageable cleanup and a full-blown tear-out-the-walls demolition project, it can literally be just a matter of hours.
So let's dig into that idea. We're going to talk about the ticking clock of water damage. Because the second that water finds its way in, this destructive chain reaction starts. And trust me, it escalates way faster than you think.
Okay, check this out. In just 1 hour, your home's building materials, we're talking drywall, insulation, your wood floors, they're already completely soaked. By the 24-hour mark, they actually start to physically change. They swell up, they warp, they buckle, and what's really crucial is that the water itself starts getting contaminated. But here it is, the big deadline, 48 hours. This is the magic number where mold can really establish a foothold and the actual structure of your home can begin to weaken.
So you find a leak. That clock is ticking. Now what? This is where really understanding what the professionals do is so important, because what happens in these next few hours is going to decide the fate of your property.
A pro response is so much more than just sucking up the puddle you can see. It's a really precise 3-step process. First, they do emergency extraction to get the bulk of that standing water out, like right now. But honestly, the most critical part is the structural drying. This is where they use all this specialized gear to hunt down and kill every last bit of hidden moisture inside your walls and under your floors. And only when they've scientifically proven it's dry does that final restoration begin, rebuilding everything to get it back to how it was before.
And this slide really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? You might think a shop vac and a couple of fans will do the job, but that's like trying to fight a house fire with a water pistol. The pros show up with truck-mounted extractors and thermal imaging cameras that can see moisture inside the walls. They follow certified techniques. The most important takeaway here is that a DIY attempt almost always leaves hidden moisture behind, and that is a giant welcome mat for mold.
So, how do they know when it's totally dry? Well, they use the science of psychrometry. Now, I know, it sounds super complex, but it's basically their secret sauce. By measuring the moisture in the air with incredible precision, they can create the perfect drying environment to pull every last drop of damaging moisture out of your home structure. It's real science, not just guesswork.
All right, this next part is something every single property owner really needs to know. When you call for help, one of the first things a professional is going to figure out is the type of water you're dealing with. And believe me, it completely changes how they have to handle the job. So, the industry breaks water down into 3 categories. Category 1 is clean water, from something like a broken supply line. Category 2 is gray water, which is a bit contaminated, maybe from a dishwasher or a washing machine overflow. But Category 3, that's black water. This comes from sewage or flooding, and it is a serious health hazard. It's packed with dangerous stuff, and any porous material it touches, like your drywall or your carpet, has to be torn out and disposed of as hazardous waste.
And yep, here's that ticking clock again. Even that clean Category 1 water doesn't stay clean for long.
As it sits there, soaking into your building materials, it starts picking up contaminants. In just 48 hours, that simple little pipe break can turn into a nasty Category 3 biohazard situation. So time isn't just costing you in terms of structural damage, it's ramping up the health risk too.
All right, we've covered the threat, we've talked about the timeline, and we've looked at the professional solution. So now, let's make this super practical. This is your playbook, the exact steps you need to take the moment you find water, and maybe even more importantly, how to stop it from happening in the first place.
The second you find water, think safety first. If you can do it safely, find and shut off the main water valve to your house. Then, your very next phone call should be to a professional restoration company. Don't wait. While you're waiting for them, move whatever furniture and valuables you can to a dry area. And grab your phone. Take pictures and videos of everything. This is going to be gold for your insurance claim. And please, this is a big one, do not use any electrical appliances in wet areas.
Of course, the absolute best way to deal with water damage is to make sure it never happens. A little bit of simple maintenance can save you a fortune. Check your roof and clean your gutters every year. Test your sump pump every few months. And please replace those cheap plastic washing machine hoses every 5 years. They are infamous for failing out of nowhere. And probably most important of all, make sure every single person who lives in your house knows where that main water shutoff valve is and exactly how to turn it off.
So, when you boil it all down, it comes to this. The biggest threat to your home isn't going to be loud and dramatic. It's quiet, it's wet, and it could be hiding just behind a wall or under a floorboard as we speak. So the only real question left is your playbook ready for it?